We'll be back in February, but the rest of you won't. Because you have to go back to school. Let's see where we. All right, where is it? Careful, careful. Back to school.
We still have 20 days.
Oh, you said that's right. You still have 20 days. It's your summer vacation.
Yeah.
We don't have a winter vacation.
We do, for 1 month.
1 month?
Yeah.
You have it easy there in Australia.
And spring and autumn is 3 weeks.
3 weeks.
Yeah.
Sounds nice.
It's not Australia, it's part of school.
You have it super easy.
And you're still complaining. Different colleges get a lot of time off also.
That's so easy. All these vacations. You're all lazy. We have to work hard in America. It's more competitive.
Our school's very competitive.
But the universities are much more competitive in America.
Yeah.
And you have to pay a lot of money. In America, the universities, how much do they pay?
Depends where you go. Private ones are basically.
Yeah, private universities. Well, he went to Duke
Yeah.
and for his master's, and then Cambridge. And so, fortunately, he's an ABCD
Yeah.
because his parents have money.
Yeah.
So that's one advantage of being an ABCD.
Yeah, you get a lot of money thrown at you, so.
Money, and it comes with conditions,
Yeah, that's true.
right?
Yeah.
Because you have to listen to them. They torture you. I'm sorry. For the rest of your life.
Yeah, but at least you don't have to worry about finances. So.
No, at least so your job is, instead of working a job, you just have to tolerate your parents.
That's an easy job. I'll take
Of course, we're being recorded. You don't know his parents. Sorry, I should. Let me mute this for a second. Okay. Sorry we were muted. There was some.
Technical difficulty.
Not. It wasn't technical. It was someone's life was in danger. Okay, so we're going to chant Manak Shiksha, which is Nitai Padakapala. Okay. Let's see, how do I do this? Yeah. Okay. Nitai Padakapala Koti Chandra Shuchita Ye Jaya Jagajurai Nijai Pada Kamala Koti Jagashushita Ye Jaya Jagajurai Hey Loli Jaya Binibai Krishna Paite Nai Drinakuri Karuni Jaya Bai Hey Loli Say Samana Nahi Jala Richard Chan Magela Chan Say Pashu Baro Durachara Say Samana Nahi Jala Richard Chan Magela Chan Say Pashu China Molino Muke I love some Sarasuke Vijakule Kikoribe Tara Machino some Sarasuke Vijakule Kikoribe Tara Hankaramatoya Vijayana Pasharia Asachere Sachakuri Mania Hankaramatoya Vijayana Pasharia Asachere Jaya Corona Moebe Rajira Krishna Moebe Naruni Jai Janana Tukani Jaya Corona Moebe Jaya Churana Satcha Tara Sevaka Nisha Nitai Pada Santa Kuro Asha Narotama Goro Tuki Jai More Goro Suki Rakuranga Charanera Pasha Narotama Goro Tuki Jai More Goro Suki Jai Pada Kamala Nirmala Koti Chandra Sushi Tala Yechaya Jagachuraga Jai Bada Kamala Koti Chandra Sushi Tala Yechaya Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama. Prabhupada. Paramahansa, Paramacharya, also tell us She, Shimad, His Divine Grace Sabaya, Chalananda Bhaktivedanta Goswami, Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai, ISKCON Founder Acharya, Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai, Anantagoti Vaishnav Vrind Ki Jai, Namacharya, Srila Haridas Thakur Ki Jai. Friends, say Kaho Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadha Shivasati Gaur Bhakta Vrinda Ki Jai Shri Shri Radha Krishna Gopi Gopinath Shyama Kunda Radha Kunda Giri Govardhan Ki Jai Vrindavanam Ki Jai Maturadam Ki Jai Jagannath Swami Ki Jai Munamai Ki Jai Srimati Lalasi Devi Ki Jai Samveda Bhakta Vrinda Ki Jai Gaur Premananda Hari Hari Bol. All glories to assembled devotees, all glories to assembled devotees, all glories to assembled devotees. All glories to Shri Guru and Gauranga, Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai, Nama Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prastaya. Pudale Srimati Bhaktivedanta Swami Jinamani Namaste Saraswati Devi Gaurvani Pajani Namaste Sunyavadi Pasyacha Deja Tarne. Okay? You know the whole thing. Okay. All right. So let's read the translation. In this material world, which is progressing toward hell, there's always a blazing fire and everyone is struggling hard without finding peace. Therefore, if the world wants to have real peace, it should take shelter under the lotus feet of Lord Nityananda, which are cooling like the shining of millions of moons. Unless one takes shelter under the shade of the lotus feet of Lord Nityananda, it will be very difficult to approach Radha Krishna. Anyone who does not establish their relationship with Lord Nityananda is simply spoiling their boon of a human birth and the animal propensities of sense gratification. Never saying the names of Lord Nityananda and Lord Chaitanya, they become absorbed in so-called material enjoyment, and their academic education and birth in a high family or great nation will not protect them at the time of death. They become maddened by a false concept of bodily life, and thus they have forgotten their eternal relationship with Lord Nityananda. Such forgetful persons accept the illusory energy as factual. When you achieve the mercy of Lord Nityananda, then you will be able to approach Radha Krishna. Firmly catch hold of the lotus feet of Lord Nityananda. The lotus feet of Lord Nityananda are not illusion, they are a fact, and anyone who engages in the transcendental loving service of Lord Nityananda immediately achieves their transcendental position on the spiritual platform, which is eternal and blissful. Therefore, always try to catch the lotus feet of Lord Nityananda. Narottam Thakur says, "My dear Lord Nityananda, I am very unhappy, so I am praying to you to make me happy. Please keep me in a corner of your lotus feet." So, Narottam Thakur Ki Jai. So, today is the last day, last night. Okay. Uh-oh. This is going to get a little unwieldy.
Just one minute.
Oh. Okay, so I'm going to have to... Jai Gurudev. All right, so Gurudev's going to give them away. Here. You get one. For your wife. All right, let's see how long I last with these. Okay, so, not very long. So, thank you for offering them. Okay, oh my God. So, anyway, this is our last night, last class, and so we'll give more time for the devotees to ask questions, but first, so Maganata Minadasha Gananjana Shlakya Chakshur Medita Tasmai Shigave Namaha. First, I want to talk about a person who passed away on this particular day. His name is Devananda Pandit. It's his disappearance day. And he's a great associate of Lord Chaitanya, so I'll tell the story. So, once upon a time, there was this great Bhagavatam reciter named Devananda Pandit. And he was living in this place in around Navadvip called Kuligram. So he would give Bhagavatam class every day, knew all the verses and everything like that. So one day he was giving Bhagavatam class, and Srivas Thakur, who was Narada Muni, walked by the Bhagavatam class, started to listen, and he felt ecstasy. And he started crying, rolling on the ground. And Devananda Pandit basically thought it was like a disturbance to class. Like if one of you did that, I would probably do the same thing. And he had him thrown out by his disciples, chucked him out, even though Srivas Thakur was experiencing real ecstasy. And so that was a mad elephant offense. So then later on, Devananda Pandit was also giving Bhagavatam class, and Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu walked by the class, and just on the outskirts, in those days everything was in the open. They didn't have like doors they closed or windows or anything like that. And so he walked by the class and he said, "This Devananda Pandit will never understand the Bhagavatam." And so Devananda Pandit thought, no, it's just this Nimai guy. That was Lord Chaitanya when he was Nimai. And so didn't pay much attention. So later on, Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu took sannyas, and then Devananda Pandit realized, oh my God, he's actually God. Oh my God, he's God. Anyways. And so basically there was no question of him being forgiven. However, he did one thing right after that point, which is a good lesson for us. Not that we should do this and think we're going to get forgiven for offending Vaishnavas, but he served another devotee of Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu named Virkeshwara Pandit. And Virkeshwara Pandit was a great dancer. Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu said he could dance. He was like a wing. And Lord Chaitanya said, if I had two people like you, or two dancers like you, it would be like having two wings and I could fly in the sky. And so, what happened was Devananda Pandit, not Virkeshwara Pandit, was dancing. And Devananda Pandit was thinking, I have to protect him because he was surrounded by a big crowd, so he just held the crowd away from Virkeshwara Pandit. And Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu knew that he had served Virkeshwara Pandit. And so when Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu later on came to Navadvip, after he'd taken sannyas, and Devananda Pandit begged for forgiveness, understanding he had done something really bad. Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu said, because you have served Virkeshwara Pandit, therefore you should, if you want to be forgiven, I'm going to forgive you, but you have to do this one additional thing. You have to go to Srivas Thakur and beg for forgiveness. So he did that, begged for forgiveness, and then he became a great associate of Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. So the story has a nice ending. Nice. So his disappearance day is today, and his samadhi is in Kulia, which he lived in practically for his whole life. So now we'll read a little bit from the Nectar Devotion. We skipped ahead a little bit because it's not too much for me to comment on, and if I just read, I'd like to comment on things. So we're going to hear about, whoops, let me put this on. Let me tell my AI assistant to take notes, okay? It's nice having an AI assistant. Doesn't talk back, doesn't need any money. What these buy? I pay it. Every year I pay a fee for her. But it's great, Doesn't get sick. This is fantastic. So anyway, we're going to hear about Krishna's, the categories of Krishna's qualities, which is a really interesting part of the Nectar Devotion. So he has Anyway, let's start. Krishna's personality is analyzed as Dhirodatta, Dhirolalita, Dhiroshanta, and Dhirodhata. You hear the difference between Dhirodatta and Dhirodhata? I overpronounced it. It's just so you understand it. One asks how a personality could be held in four quite opposing ways. The answer is that the Lord is the reservoir of all transcendental qualities and activities. So every conceivable quality that you can think of, Krishna has. Wow. He gets envious. He gets envious because if you worship anyone else other than him, Krishna gets upset. He gets angry. Wow. Everything that you experience, and even more, Krishna has all these different qualities at different times. Krishna is a multifaceted personality. He's not just like one-dimensional. Just like all of you, you're not one-dimensional. But people like to see you as one-dimensional, isn't it? Because they put a label on you. Like you parents, we were talking about this the other day, think, my child is meant to serve me. That's how you see a child, my little toy, to make me proud. My child should learn a lot of verses. So at the Sunday program, they can recite the entire 15th chapter of the Bhagavad Gita. And I can tell all the other adults, that's my baby. It's like that, isn't it? I want you to excel in school, become an engineer, or what else? Doctor, lawyer. Yeah, like there's someone here who won't mention his name. You got to be a doctor, and if your wife just is humble and only has a bachelor's degree, that's unacceptable, isn't it? Well, you got masters. Only has a master's. She only has a master's. This is unacceptable. In our family, no one has anything less than a PhD. And no one makes less than $250,000 a year. It's embarrassing. You're a black sheep. So that's one-dimensional. You see the child. Anyway, generally we do that with people because we put labels on them. We meet people and say, oh, here's this type of person, she's that type of person. She's lazy, she's crazy. Sometimes with children it's like that. No, he's hyperactive. No. Any label will disconnect us from people. Anyway, so Krishna doesn't like labels. If one asks how, we already read that. Therefore, his different aspects can be analyzed according to the exhibition of his limitless variety of pastimes. As such, there is no contradiction. So here's the different descriptions. A Dhirodatta is a person who is naturally very grave, gentle, forgiving, merciful, determined, humble, highly qualified, chivalrous. You all know what chivalrous is? That means you're kind to ladies. There was one famous chivalrous person in England. His name was Sir Walter Raleigh. And the Queen of England was crossing the street and it was muddy and he put his cape down. Anyone's heard that story? Yeah, I told that story. So anyway, so that's chivalrous and bodily attractive. These are Krishna's qualities. In this connection, there's the following statement given by Indra, the king of heaven, is very significant. My dear Lord, I admit that I have committed great offenses. This is the Damodar pastime. the Govardhan pastime. I admit that I have committed great offenses unto you, but I cannot express my feelings of regret being bewildered at seeing your extraordinary chivalrous spirit. Your endeavor to protect your devotees, your determination, your steadiness in lifting the great hill of Govardhan, your beautiful bodily features, and your astonishing characteristics of being pleased simply by accepting the prayers of your devotees and offenders. The above statement by the King of Heaven is an exact corroboration, means verification, of Krishna's being Dhirodatta. Many learned scholars have agreed also to accept another incarnation of Krishna as Dhirodatta. That's Lord Ramchandra. Because he's like that. Forbearing and very merciful. But all of Lord Ramchandra's qualities are also included in the character of Lord Krishna. So there's actually aspects of Krishna's personality that Lord Ramchandra doesn't have. So we're going to get to some of those. Next quality is a person who's called Dhirolalita. If he is naturally very funny, always in full youthfulness, expert in joking, and free from all anxieties. Not so much Lord Ramchandra. He's a very serious person. He's not like sitting on his throne and joking with everybody. Yeah, it's very, very serious. So Dhirolalita. Such a Dhirolalita personality is generally found to be domesticated and very submissive to his lover. This Dhirolalita trait is the personality of Krishna is described in the Srimad Bhagavatam, where the Yagna Patni, the wife of one of the Brahmanas who were performing sacrifice in Vrindavan, tells her friends, one day, Srimati Radharani, accompanied by her associates, was taking rest in her garden, and at that time Lord Sri Krishna arrived in that assembly. After sitting down, he began to narrate very impudently, that means proudly and not caring about what others thought, about his previous night's pastimes with Radharani. So, of course, that's right. While he was speaking in that way, Radharani became very much embarrassed. She was feeling ashamed and was absorbed in thought. And Krishna took the opportunity to mark her breast with different kinds of tilak. That's very playful and joyful. Joking. Krishna proved himself to be very expert in that art. Who's that? Oh, come in. Okay, we missed you. You missed all the fun. Careful. Okay. Let's go back. She was feeling very ashamed and was absorbed in thought, and Krishna took the opportunity to mark her breast with different kinds of tilak. Krishna proved himself to be very expert in that art. In this way, Krishna, as Dhirolalita, was enjoying the youthful proclivities in the company of the gopis. Generally, those who are expert in writing drama choose to call Cupid the ideal Dhirolalita, but we can more perfectly find in the personality of Krishna all the characteristics of Dhirolalita. Krishna is so attractive, isn't it? He does all these things. A person who is very peaceful, forbearing, considerate, and obliging is called Dhiroshanta. This Dhiroshanta trait of Krishna was exhibited in his dealings with the Pandavas on account of the Pandavas' faithful devotion to the Lord. He agreed to become their charioteer, their advisor, their friend, their messenger, and sometimes their bodyguard. Such is an example of the result of devotional service towards Vishnu. When Krishna was speaking to Maharaj Yudhishthira about religious principles, he demonstrated himself to be a great learned scholar. but because he accepted the position of the younger cousin to Yudhisthira, he was speaking in a very gentle tone, which enhanced his beautiful bodily features. The movements of his eyes and the mode of his speech proved that he was very, very expert in giving moral instruction. Sometimes Maharaj Yudhisthira is also accepted by learned scholars as Dhiroshanta. So this is also Lord Ramchandra's characteristics too. But here the last one is not at all applied to Lord Ramchandra. The person who is very envious, proud, easily angered, restless, and complacent. What's complacent mean?
Like happy with your life.
You just like everything's all right, you know.
Yeah.
You know, you want me to go to a better school? I'm fine the way I am. That's complacent. Or complacent like, oh, it's just Guru Maharaj again. He just eats too much. So anyway, it's called Dhirodhata by learned scholars. Such qualities were visible in the character of Lord Krishna, because when he was writing a letter to Kaliyavana, Krishna addressed him as a sinful frog. In his letter, Krishna advised Kaliyavana that he should immediately go and find some dark well for his residence, because there was a black snake named Krishna who was very eager to devour all such sinful frogs. Krishna reminded Kaliyavana that he could turn all the universes to ashes simply by looking at them. Wow. So the story of Kaliyavana is that he really wasn't killed by Krishna directly. Does anyone remember who killed him? Muchukunda. By his glance. Krishna just ran away from him. And then Krishna went to a cave and he hid himself, and there was Muchukunda sleeping there. And Muchukunda had the benedictions, not Muchi. Some devotees call it Muchikunda. It means dirty lake. Most of the devotees say Muchikunda. So it's Muchukunda. Muchukunda had been fighting for the demigods, and he had the benediction that whoever woke him up, he could burn him to ashes. So he burnt this Kaliyavana up. So this above statement by Krishna seems apparently to be that of an envious nature. But according to different pastimes, places, and times, this quality is accepted as a great characteristic. Krishna's Dhirodhata qualities have been accepted as great because Krishna uses them only to protect his devotees. In other words, even undesirable traits may also be used in the exchange of devotional service. Wow. Sometimes Bhima, the second brother of the Pandavas, is also described as Dhirodatta, but he's actually Dhirodatta. Just like when he was... when Bhima would kill people, he wouldn't just kill them. When he was fighting Akichika, he turned them into a basketball. You couldn't even see where the arms were, where the legs were. It was just like one big lump of flesh. He just kept pounding them after he died. Oh my God. Once, and here's another example of Krishna's Dhirodatta characteristic. Once, while fighting with a demon who was appearing as a deer, Krishna challenged him in this way. I never even heard about this deer demon. It's not there in the Bhagavatam, but Krishna was doing it. I have come before you as a great elephant named Krishna. You must leave the battlefield accepting defeat, or else there is death awaiting you. This challenging spirit of Krishna's is not contradictory to his sublime character, because as the Supreme Being, everything is possible in his character. There's a nice statement in the Kurma Purana about these contradictory traits of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. It is stated there, it is stated there that the Supreme Person is neither very fat nor very thin. He is always transcendental to material qualities, and yet his bodily luster is blackish. His eyes are reddish. He is all-powerful, and he is equipped with all different kinds of opulences. Contradictory traits in Krishna's person are not at all surprising. One should not consider the characteristics of Krishna, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, to be actually contradictory. One should try to understand the traits of Krishna and authorities and try to understand how these characteristics are employed by the supreme will of the Lord. In the Mahabharata Purana, it is confirmed that the transcendental bodies of the Supreme Personality of Godhead and his expansions are all existing eternally. Such bodies are never material and are completely spiritual, full of knowledge. They are reservoirs of all transcendental qualities. In the Vaishnava Tantra, there is a statement that the personality of Godhead and his expanded bodies are always free from the 18 kinds of material tribulations. And here's a note here. The 18 kinds of material contaminations mentioned above are described in the Vishnu Yamala Tantra as, so here's what we're all subject to. Illusion. You were ever subject to illusion, Con? Illusion means basically not understanding who you are, or seeing something that's not there, or not seeing something that is there, or not seeing the way saying it in reality. Fatigue. You ever experience fatigue?
Yeah.
Means getting tired.
Yeah.
Committing errors. Did you ever make an error?
Many.
I only made one in my whole life. And that's when, you heard this joke before, that's when I thought I had made a mistake. So you commit errors too.
Yeah.
Roughness. Are you rough sometimes?
Only when I'm angry.
Okay. Material lust. Well, you want something. You really want something. You ever demand something?
I don't demand, I'm deep down, I want this sometimes, yeah.
Restlessness. You get restless sometimes?
Yeah.
Pride?
Yeah.
Envy?
Sometimes.
Violence? Probably not.
No.
Disgrace? Feeling embarrassed?
Not really.
Oh, that's a problem. Exhaustion?
Yeah.
Sometimes you make up a white lie.
Yeah.
Anger?
Yeah.
Hankering, that means you want something.
Yeah.
Dependence, depending on your parents, yep. Desire to lord it over the universe. To be the center or control thing. You don't desire to control things sometimes? That's
I
good.
just desire to be a Superman.
Same thing.
Sometimes.
See in duality. Sometimes you don't see Krishna.
Sometimes, yeah.
Oh, is it
You
great?
say you don't see him either all the time.
And the last one is cheating.
No, I don't cheat.
Never cheated. No. Okay, that's good. You got at least it's proportionally 1 out of 10 to your own.
I just want to be Spider-Man sometimes.
Because such Haribol. Because such bodies are always full of knowledge, bliss, and eternity. And so I'll just make one more statement, and then we can take questions to allow the devotees to ask questions as final class. So if we look at all these characteristics of Krishna, then one may ask, why does Krishna exhibit them? There's one underlying reason. And the underlying reason is to have fun. Because whatever Krishna does is because it's fun. He doesn't do anything that's not fun. Even the idea of protecting the devotees, establishing religious principles, can be done by others. But when Krishna personally does something, it's only for the sake of having fun. You know, his fun, of course, is loving interactions with the devotees, killing the demons. You know, this is sort of fun. Playing games, being, you know, aggravating Radharani, aggravating his mother. That's Krishna's idea of fun. So all these things are nice. You should do all these things. No, don't imitate Krishna. So anyway, so that's really how we can understand Krishna's psychology. You know, our psychology is quite interesting because it's based upon our childhood generally. Like sometimes you find people with really heavy guilt trips, that's because they're ABCDs. So anyway, you know, because of the way they were treated when they were young. You have to do this, you have to do that. And everything's, you know, or what we like to eat, or what type of games we like to play, what sporting activities we like. It's all based upon our childhood or previous lives. So that's why these psychologists can analyze what caused you to have this PTSD. You know what PTSD is?
Post-traumatic.
Stress disorder.
Yeah.
That means certain people react to certain things. Like if you go into an elevator, you call it a lift, and you get all sorts of scared.
We call them elevators.
They'll call them elevators.
I do.
Oh, that's good. You're intelligent. Your parents probably call them
But I
lifts.
don't call them ketchup. Call it ketchup.
Ketchup. Okay,
Tomato sauce.
that's good. Tomato sauce. You got it wrong.
Americans.
So anyway, so if people have these different phobias, there's a reason for it. You know, agoraphobia, aquaphobia, claustrophobia. There's a reason. Because something happened in the past, either this life or the past life.
Yeah.
So our psychology is conditioned psychology. Until we actually purify ourselves by the proper chanting, then we can understand our real nature, our real psychology. But your nature right now has nothing to do with your spiritual nature for the most part. It's all based upon your samskaras, you know, the conditioning that you actually experienced. So the whole idea is Cheto Darpana Marjana. But Krishna's activities have nothing to do with samskaras. They just have to do with his being swarat, or independent. He's just like, why do you do what you do? I'm fun. I'm a fun God. So, anyway, so that's it. So anybody have any questions? This is your last time. You have the opportunity to ask questions. Yes.
So, is it worth trying to understand our nature or trying to understand why we are the way we are, or
If it helps make us more stable in executing devotional service. Yes, but otherwise it's a waste of time. It's actually a waste of time. You know, just like, you look at the horoscope. Who was I in my last life? You know, just like, who cares? You know, you're a gremlin. You don't know what a gremlin is. No, that's good. So anyway, so whatever you were, you were. So you know, to look in too much into the past, unless it helps you remain stable and steady in your activities in spiritual life, this is another thing. You know, understanding why every time you go to a certain place you start shaking, you know. But, you know, for example, like, I used to have this thing about beats. Every time someone put a beat in front of me, I started shaking. It was like Superman with kryptonite. Then I understood that my mother used to force me to eat this beetroot soup. They call it borscht, anyway. As it's good for you. And one day I refused to eat, and my mother poured the whole bowl of soup on my head.
Better than-
Talk about tough parents, you know.
It's better than eating it.
It's better than eating it? No, I had hair at that time. So. You know, it's really traumatic to have like vegetables in your hair. You know?
Your parents put on you, so they'll have to clean the floors. Just clean yourself.
No, I think they made me clean the floor too.
Oh.
Anyway, so the point is understanding where it came from would really help me cope. And so, in that regard, yes, sometimes it's interesting to understand that, and also understand, you know, our triggers, things that trigger us. So, yeah, anything that helps us perform devotional service can be accepted. And sometimes medicine, you know, you take some medicine if it helps you perform devotional service. You know, and there's devotees with migraine headaches, and they have to take medicine. And that helps them perform devotional service. Because if they just sit there, you know, having a migraine, they can't do anything. So utility is the principle. So whatever helps Krishna consciousness, we can accept. But otherwise, you know, it's just more false ego to look into our background. You know, it's just like, who cares? It's finished. That child is finished. Will never exist again. I mean, that's interesting for you parents who have children. You understand when your child is grown up, that's it. That child will never be a child again. It's quite interesting. Therefore, you only get one opportunity with children. That's actually an important message. Like with other people, you get more opportunities. Like if I do something wrong with a disciple, I just say, well, I'm sorry. Next time I'll be nice. But with a child, that's it. So you got to be really careful. It's a great responsibility taking care of children. Okay, what do you think? You agree?
I mean, if they like make me angry for a bit, I'll end up forgiving them, and then, yeah.
You mean your parents?
Yeah.
I'm sure they're relieved to hear that. So, any other questions? I guess I'm pretty much Dhirolalita. So, any other questions? Yes.
How can we use our undesirable traits in devotional service?
Undesirable traits? Oh my God! Give me an example.
Oh, yes. Maybe,
Anger.
sure.
So let's say we get angry at someone who's preaching bogus philosophy, or someone. Not that we take it out and start killing them or anything like that. But you know, Prabhupada, it's not actually undesirable. Prabhupada would get so angry, and what to speak of his guru, Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur, would get super angry at Mayavadis, isn't it?
Yes.
Not only angry, he would just pick them up by the scruff of their neck, you know, and say, "Why are you preaching this nonsense? Why don't you, if you think everything's one, why don't you just wear a piece of cotton instead of that shirt, you rascal?" So therefore, he was known as Nrsimha Guru. That was actually one of his nicknames, because he used anger. So there's ways to use everything in Krishna service. I mean, even lust. Krishna says, "Kamo asmi," I'm lust according to, you know, the principles of Krishna consciousness. So anything can be used, basically, almost anything. Gotta be careful. So, you just have to think what pleases Krishna. And getting angry at someone who's actually preaching bogus philosophy, or someone who's trying to harm other people. You know, I know, for example, if I hear about someone who's a child abuser, I get angry at them. You know, I don't want to see their face. You know, there's anger, but that anger is healthy. Of course, when the anger is just suppressed, and you have this constant seething in your heart. You know, then it comes out, you know, at the wrong time. So, you know, one has to have productive anger, you know, productive envy. Productive envy would be like competition between devotees. Not real envy. It would be, you did so nicely in, you know, whatever service. You cooked the offering so nicely, wow. And I want to do better. You distributed so many books, I want to distribute more. We used to do that. I mean, I had this competition with Krishna one year as to which temple would distribute the most books. And we challenged the Radha Damodar party. And every day or two, we were calling, I was in South America. He was in America, North America. And then we just give each other bookstores, and he would just like get angrier. And said, we're going to do more. And then by the end of the month, we had defeated him. And then Prabhupada was laughing because he saw how angry Tamal Krishna was. He says he does not like to get defeated. And Prabhupada appreciated that. Prabhupada even said, whichever temple distributes the most books at that time, I'll go and stay there. So he was just encouraging, you know, just like encouraging, pushing the devotees. Like that, and, you know, friendly competition. Just like friends will sometimes go and play a soccer game and they'll take different sides in a soccer match and they'll be yelling and screaming at each other. We did that in, not soccer, but when we were constructing the temple in Suva, or guiding the construction of the temple in Suva, every day we'd gather all the devotees and play volleyball.
Yeah.
And then we would, you know, even I ended up yelling at people. Like the Shinga was on the other side. And he was really good at volleyball.
But I have been told that you are really good at that.
I don't know. But anyway, whatever I was. And then I would yell at him, you rascal. I'm going to get you. This happens at games, isn't it?
Yes.
People play games like that. So it's almost like chivalrous. So you're using anger and envy, you know. He was good at dunking the ball. I hated that. This is tall.
Yeah, you can.
He's taller than me, so we just go pump. So anyway, so these characteristics, somehow or other we have to figure out how to engage our characteristics in Krishna service.
What about laziness or like apathy?
Apathy. How to engage that in Krishna service? That's a good one. Take care of your body. Yeah, just realize. I mean, there's a time for laziness. Prabhupada said that there should be a time for recreation and relaxation. You know, like Prabhupada always had this. I mean, if you look at Prabhupada's life, he spent hours getting a massage every day. You know, if I were to do it, which I'm not going to, people would say, you know, he's a lazy bum. But Prabhupada was doing it. You know, he had, basically when he climbed into his bed, he had Shrutakirti like right over him, you know, massaging him until he went to sleep. And then midday there was a massage too. So he's not lazy or whatever, but he was using relaxation. I guess, you know, turn that to relax. There has to be some relaxation during the day. You can't just always be like tense and on the go. You know, it's just like people feel guilty so many times, especially in Indian society. They're just like, they're rushing. This is not, you can't have a spare moment. You hear that in the movement too. There's a lot of guilt. I was talking to a doctor friend, a disciple. And I said, why do so many people have all these diseases? And he says, people have all this guilt. They just have to keep pushing themselves all the time. You don't. You know, at a certain time, you just like relax and, you know, tell a few jokes. Prabhupada would do that. You know, Prabhupada in private, you know, he would be joking. He was a very humorous person. So Prabhupada, you know, he had a time for relaxation, a time, and then you hear his class, and it's intense classes. But at home, you know, he was more relaxed. So, any other questions? We'll see everybody in February. No, we won't. There'll be a few souls there. A few souls and very little prasadam for me. None of these nice ladies cooking, only Navadweep. What's that? Yeah, no, I'm sure we'll get enough to eat, because I'll cook. Okay, so I guess we can end, and then we'll see everybody. Tomorrow we're leaving here at about 1 o'clock in the afternoon.
Yeah.
7 in the morning. Okay, come and see me before, when you're on the way out. You know, you have a taxi scheduled? You have a car scheduled? Which, oh, that's probably cheap.
He's so kind to us, old ladies.
Very cheap. Just make sure the windows open, the wipers work on the car. And then put petrol in it before you go. And the tires. Yeah, on the way here, we had to help change the tires, so it was interesting. As by the side of the road, and we had to tell them how to change the tire. Yeah.
I should ask you a pretty good question when we were on curriculum, but I wasn't sure the answer was.
What's the question?
So, you know how you said in curriculum, like to not wear Radha shirts that have like Radharani and Krishna on it?
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. Are we allowed, I saw some bangles and it says Radha and Krishna on it. Are we allowed to wear those?
Yeah. Yeah, just don't take them into the bathroom with you. The whole point is not the object itself, but what you do with it. So, you know, if you have a picture of Radha and Krishna or something like that, and, you know, I just could imagine just going into the, you know, the toilet and just looking in a mirror and seeing Krishna looking back at me. I said, he doesn't belong in here. I mean, it's like if you go to the bathroom, you actually, usually if you take your bead bag and put it somewhere else, isn't it? I mean, that's just practical. Yeah, what can you do? Because then they'd have to take Krishna with them everywhere. One devotee had to make a Krishna tattoo because he had his girlfriend and he had to change it to Krishna. Yeah, they had to do something. You can't just show up in the brahmachari ashram with your girlfriend. Everybody taking darshan of your girlfriend. So, you know, it's quite easy, you know, because Krishna has a threefold bending form, and your girlfriend does too, so, anyway, so, and they just changed it. All right, that's a good question. Yeah, just, the main thing is be careful with sacred objects. You know, like pictures. You know, I just was careful not to put this picture down this way. This is a picture of Radha Golokananda. You like books and things like that. Books, pictures. Krishna's present in his picture. Krishna's present in the book. So you don't want to have them in a place that's dirty, if at all possible. I mean, sometimes, like when I travel, I have to take all my hand luggage into the toilet room, you know, because otherwise someone will steal it if I leave it outside. So that's another thing. And then I just put my bead bag inside something usually. And, you know, sometimes you have to make some exceptions. There was one of my godbrothers had a Govardhan Shila with him, And he thought, can't take him into the bathroom, so he left him hanging outside and was stolen. Yeah. So you don't take the Shila directly, you put them in something else. So you have to be practiced. Traveling is a different thing. There's different rules for traveling. Okay, so we'll see everybody tomorrow. Brother, when are you going?
Around 10.
What?
10 o'clock.
10 o'clock, so we'll see you tomorrow.
Tonight.
Tonight! Oh, that's right.
Yeah.
Ooh. Well, come and say goodbye to me before, not at 10 o'clock at night. But after I take Prashadam, or now, whenever you want. Goodbye. So, thank you for coming. Phew. Hamilton crew. Hamilton, Jai. Okay. All glories to His divine grace. Srila Prabhupada, Srila Prabhupada. Jai.